Hello and welcome back to my channel, SolipsismSims. Today I'm going to be renovating this little starter house in Brindleton Bay. I think it's called the Brindleton Boathouse. This is probably my favorite lot to play on in the game just because it's very rainy and it's got the beach area in the back there. It reminds me of the Pacific Northwest, which is where I'm from. So it's very nostalgic for me. But this is the house that we started with. And then I'm going to show you a sneak preview of where we ended up here in a minute. It really wasn't a bad house. I just tried to make better use of the space and then just clutter it up really nicely and tried to keep it still in a reasonable budget too. I think the upgrade on top of the 20,000 originally is 18,000 or 19,000 to upgrade to this, which I think looks so nice. It's very like dreamy cottage on the outside. But let's get into the actual building. Here's the original structure. I'm just kind of looking around at it. It really wasn't that bad, like I said, except for this big weird bathroom. I don't know why you would put the only bathroom in the house in the kitchen like this. Just a little bit odd, and it's giant. But let's go through and let's delete all the objects. And I left all of the exterior walls. I deleted some of the interior walls. I wanted to keep the same kind of vibe of the house. Oh, here's where I kept trying to delete that rug, and I kept deleting the floor until I realized it was carpet, and they probably did that to save an object, which was smart, so good job. But here I am just deleting everything. I'm going to skip ahead to when I fix the roof. I switched this awning around the other way, and I think it really made a big difference. I feel like it looks like just a double pitched roof now. I don't know. There's probably a technical term, but I'm unaware of it. I think double pitched, you know what I mean. I think it looks nicer like that. And so I'm just going to make it match the rest of the roofs and try to make it not clip as much as possible. I do come back and adjust this side of the house over here in layout and kind of cover this weird little roof area here. But I know that I want to make the patio smaller. It seems weird that there's no back patio and then there's just this like large, long front patio. So I'm going to go ahead and shorten that. And then I like the way it looks when it's lined up with the rest of the house, so I'm going to keep it that way and then go back here and add a back patio because there's a beach back here. I don't know, you've got to have a back patio if you're on a beach, right? And then because I'm obsessed with balcony patios or second story patios, I'm going to go ahead and add one of those on top of it. I do delete this one later on just to save on budget and space, but I end up adding another one, so I can't resist a second story patio, balcony area, whatever you want to call it. But here I am just deciding on the shape of the patio. I really liked this like double columned kind of uh, shape. It reminded me of one of my neighbors. He made a two-story patio that looked just like this, and we called him the Admiral. I don't think he was even a boat captain. It just reminded us so much of like the house in Mary Poppins with the boat captain that we referred to him that way. And so I guess I read Boathouse and just immediately thought of that structure. I think it looks pretty boaty. But now I'm just going through and gonna change these doors. I liked this double door. I'm going to change the front door, and then here in a minute I'm going to pick out the windows as well. I use a lot of windows. Prepare yourself. I use probably too many. I always put down more windows than I'm going to keep. I'll put down a lot of windows, and then as I'm setting up the layout inside, delete them as I need to, and then I usually end up with a reasonable amount. But I do like to use a lot of windows in my builds just because that's how I like to live. I like to garden inside, and so if you do any indoor gardening, you know that windows are just heavenly. You need them so much for indoor gardening. So I think it's just because in my real life, I would want a house that's just all windows. So, I mean, not totally windows, that would be a little bit creepy. But here I am deciding they look a little bit weird just on the flat side of the wall. So I'm adding a bump out and one on the other side as well. I like the way these windows looked on here. I thought they matched the doors really well. And I don't know, it looked like the type of windows you'd have on like the captain's quarters of a boat. Here I am adding this double pitched roof to the sides here, and then I hated it so much. It took me a while to figure out exactly how to fix it, and I'll show you a little bit of that here. But it just, I don't even know why it looked bad. I don't know if it was that it didn't quite match the, like it wasn't quite parallel, but I don't think parallel is the right word either. You know what I mean. But here I am fidgeting with it to try to make it look normal. I end up just adding a different roof piece and then coming back to it later. This little roof piece didn't look bad, but I think the three windows, it was just too much. It was a lot. It's kind of a big bump out. So I end up making that the balcony later. But here I am adding the roof piece to the other side as well. I did leave this one there. I liked the way that looked, but I deleted this whole roof piece up here on the upstairs level. I really hate it when the upstairs is just like this skinny little alley that's really difficult to use. It drives me crazy. It seems like such a waste of space. And I know it's so you can fit the roof pieces on. So we decided to go, like there's, well, me, I decided to go with just deleting half of it. And I ended up with a little bit of a lopsided structure, but I think it looks really cool. I think it looks very unique and maybe intentional. I don't know. It looks like it was made by a cool architect or something. But see, it's a little bit lopsided, but I think it looks nice. And here I am getting really frustrated because I couldn't figure out. I was like, can't intersect with wall. The window has to be on a wall. But honestly, I'm surprised I made it this far into a build without having to turn on move objects. So here I am turning on move objects. And then this is where I am fixing the chimney, and this is actually where I got a lot of the inspiration for the rest of the outside design, because I really liked the way the red with the white grout looked with the baby blue. I thought that looked so pretty. So I went and found that same brick in a wall pattern, and I put it on the bump outs, and I added some inside, but I tried to keep it pretty limited, limited accents of red so it wouldn't overpower the whole thing. I think that red looked so nice with that baby blue. Okay, and this is where I pulled one of those window objects and enlarged it and decided to go a completely different direction with this side of the building. I really like doing this where I add one of those window objects and then stretch out the awnings on the roof pieces to make a like overhang. And then I decided I would go ahead and use that overhang to get rid of this hideous little roof piece here and turn this into a balcony. And so I did turn this into a balcony. I miss changing one side of the fence. You'll see here in a second. I miss changing one side of the fence. So if you're OCD, that's going to drive you crazy for the rest of the video. But I did change it in before I uploaded it to the gallery, along with like doing certain other things I missed, like adding a garbage can to the kitchen and stuff like that. I went through and play tested this, so it's pretty playable. Here I am just trying to figure out what on earth I'm going to do with this little area that I created with the roof. Because I didn't want to change the bump out, but it definitely looked weird. So the fence clipped into it, and so I was trying to find the column that would clip the same into it, so it looked, it at least matched. Um, and then here I am just getting rid of that hideous green color of floors. Since we decided on the blue and the red, I wanted to keep the floors more of a like a neutral color. And then I've I wanted a little circle accent window, of course, because I feel like that's very like nautical. I just realized this house reminds me so much of Tommy Hilfiger, the brand, the color combination and how it's like very nautical. Oh, here's where I decide what I want to do with this overhang. I decide to make it a little trash area so that it's a covered trash area so that maybe it looks more intentional and not just see, it's just a cool unique feature. It's not some weird part of the roof that we couldn't get rid of. So we're celebrating with a save. And now I'm just going to go through and adjust the roof pieces, make everything match. Now we're going inside. And the way I like to start the inside patterns is I like to put the pattern that's on the outside of the wall on the inside of the wall too. A lot of times I don't keep all of it there. The walls change like 20 times, probably more. But I like it as a starting place, and it's also nice so that if I want to do an accent wall, I could just like leave some bricks somewhere and it already matches the outside of the wall. So it just I like the way it looks and I feel like it makes a little bit more sense. It also helps me match the outside design with the inside design, if that makes sense. When you have the outside design existing inside while you're designing the inside, it's easier to visually see whether it kind of fits the vibe. But here I'm figuring out exactly where to put the stairs. I liked them over here in this corner where they kind of separated this area nicely. I do end up flipping them around just because I don't like how the base of them come out into the middle of the lane like that. And then I end up just drawing a wall as well to avoid the railing clipping situation. I also think a lot of like boat houses and beach houses just the stairs are just like a weird little cubby. Those beach houses where the stairs are just there's 3 flights of stairs and they turn like 6 times. Oh, here's the part where I had to leave. Ready? That part. Yeah, see, it's infuriating when it does that. I just wanted to get rid of that little piece of floor and it broke the whole upstairs. So we're gonna move downstairs and then come back to that section. So here I'm trying to figure out where I want to put the half bath. I was gonna put it over by the stairs, but then I decided it cut apart the room really nicely to put it over here as the focal point in the living room. This is kind of weird because I put the TV and everything on it, so it is the focal point of the living room, right? So right behind that wall is the half bath. So we're just gonna pretend like the walls are really solid and no one's gonna hear you in there, but it's a little odd. I thought it was a really great use of the space though. And then I'm adding a fireplace because I have to have fireplaces in my builds. They're one of my favorite game features probably. But I have to have fireplaces in my actual house too. My husband and I use the fireplace a lot. So here I picked the cheap TV and enlarged it to try to save on budget. Like I said, I wanted this house to be a little bit more reasonable of an upgrade to get. I don't like to use cheats all the time in my game. I like to make it a little bit of a challenge sometimes. And so with this one being only like 19,000 to upgrade, I feel like that's reasonable. So like you start in this house as a starter home, and then as your sim develops a source of income and some savings and that kind of stuff, then you could at some point download this lot from the gallery and quote unquote upgrade the house. And so I like to play it that way. I feel like that's a fun way to play it. Here I am adjusting the kitchen. I was gonna put those super cheap counters in the kitchen, but oh my gosh, they're so ugly. So we went with the one step above that counters, but there are used appliances in there, so be careful. Don't kill your sim just immediately. Like I would upgrade those at some point. But here when I went back upstairs, it worked for some reason. I don't know if it's because I enclosed the downstairs area. Oh wait, what am I talking about? It didn't work. Still broke it. I just ended up splitting up those. I just cheated. But I think that that one wall of the stairs keeps clipping, and I just left that clipping. It's only one little tiny area of the house that clips. So just ignore it. Just don't look over there when your sim walks up the stairs. But here I'm just deciding how I want the layout to be. Um, I end up using these archways, but less of them. And then I used a lot of these, what are they even called? Those decorative ceiling elements. I used a lot of those around just to separate the spaces. You'll see those big restaurant curtains. I love those curtains so much. There's something about the way they just go from floor to ceiling that I really enjoy the look of. Here I'm deleting a lot of columns. I framed up the buildings with the columns, which I like the look of, but it ends up costing a lot of money. So I was trying to make this house a reasonable cost, so we are getting rid of the columns and then just editing up the outside, making sure I like the foundation and all of the wall colors. I end up changing that bay window in the kitchen to just a flat window that matches everything a little bit better. Here I'm just checking the price. It's the easiest way to check the price is just act like you're about to upload it. And then here I'm changing the color of these upstairs doors. And then this is where I also decide that this patio has to go because there's two upstairs patios, and I always do that because I'm always like, more patios. But there doesn't need to be two, and this will help me with the cost and then also with the upstairs layout. So I'm going to go ahead and get rid of this patio and just make this a covered area with one of these little fences here. And then later on, I I didn't include this, but I put the island living crystal clear objects in here, so it is weatherproof. And then here I was gonna leave it this radial kind of design, but I decided I wanted to match the crisscross of the fence, and I think that came out really nice. It cost a little bit more, but I think the aesthetic look of it was worth it. And then removing that back upstairs patio really helped me figure out the layout of the upstairs because I wanted to do a two-bedroom house so that it could be like an upgrade where if you needed to have a kid or something, you would have an extra room now. But I also wanted to make it a master suite. And so I was wanting them to share one portion of the bathroom just to save on space. What I ended up with was it is a little bit odd just because whoever's in the master does have to walk through the other bathroom to get to the toilet section. But I feel like it's a pretty good use of the space and I think it looks nice. And it's functional. It's all functional. It's got that shower tub combo in case you have a kid, and then there's a shower over here that you can see as I'm desperately trying to figure out where I lost one of those saucer lights. Do you ever do that? You put a saucer light down and then you move everything around and it's somewhere, but you can't figure out where. So there, I found it. But there's the shower there. She's got a sink. There's two sinks up here, and then the toilet, and then the showering cup, and then the standing shower over here. And then here I'm editing the outside to have fewer wall textures. I feel I wanted to do this because I felt like it matched the crisscross, but then I was like, meh, it's all a little bit too much. So I went back through and just put that siding on there. I tried to leave the inside a little bit, I wouldn't say bare, but it's not like completely cluttered, you know, because I wanted to, one, save on budget so you could download it without using cheats, and then two, I wanted to leave space for you to like play in it and for your sim family to grow, and maybe you got posters or you bought some objects or things like that. So I left some space on the inside for your sim family to grow, but I did clutter it up a little bit. You know, I tried to make it look lived in. I added a bunch of, you know, good things to play with, like stereos, TVs, computers. Um, Later on, I add like a grill outside and an easel on the back patio, a gardening area. So I added a lot of skill building activities into this lot. I got a lot on here, and I'm pretty impressed with myself for how much stuff I got in the upgrade for the cost. I feel like is reasonable. But here I'm just adding a little grill area in the back next to the beach. I love these little this painted table object. Um, there's like two painted picnic tables, and I really like the way they look. I was looking for, yeah, that one specifically. But these, here I am making a little gardening section. I like to use the Debug handmade planters because they're cheaper. And then I end up moving the planter boxes just a little bit away from the foundation because I hate it when your sim goes to plant something and it like moves because there's not enough space. But here I am just adding some more little details to the inside to try to make it look a little bit more lived in, a little bit more, you know, special. I didn't add a window to the dining room, and I went back and forth on it for a while, but it all just looked, all of the windows just looked kind of weird there, and so I just put a big poster. But if you want to add a window, you're welcome to, because it is a little bit odd that there's no window in the dining room. But I tried to use a lot of the debug objects on the outside and on the inside just to save on the budget. I also just use way too many plants probably. I really like the very like overgrown look in The Sims. I think it looks very detailed and fun. I like to filter the debug menu first by whatever world I'm in, so that I start with those plants so that it blends in a little bit smoother with the scenery around it. I just love this white birch tree in this pack. I use that one a lot. And the little flowers from this pack too. I use those flowers in all of my builds probably. You see how I put a little woohoo bush there in the corner? I like to add little features like that. Like maybe your sim has a bathroom emergency at the beach and can't make it inside. Well, good thing there's a woohoo bush right there. But here I am just adding some more plants outside. And making sure they don't clip. That expandable catalog saved me on the debug objects. Oh my gosh, I can't. I like, there's so many debug objects that I didn't know were there because I don't have a mouse, and so I don't have the little scroll wheel, and so I just scroll through that debug with two fingers on my trackpad, which just makes it jump around like crazy. And so there were objects in there that I just didn't know existed until I installed that expandable build by mod. You should definitely get it if you haven't. Here I'm adding the terrain paint. The way that I usually do this is I'll add a lot of the brown underneath all of the objects that, you know, I want the brown, and then I go back through with the eraser tool and I'll blend the edges in that way. But I think terrain paint might be one of my favorites, just because, not because I'm super good at it, just because it makes such a big difference on the lot to add terrain paint. It really makes it look real, in my opinion. But here I'm just trying to figure out if I want to do this as window boxes. Looking at this, I decided that this side of the building was too busy. It did not need window boxes. So I just left it a planter sitting on the ground there. But I did add a window box to the front and then to the kitchen window. I like the way these window boxes look. It doesn't really make a whole lot of sense with the shutters like that, but suspend your disbelief. But here I'm adding some to the kitchen window. Like I said, that used to be that bay window before, but I switched it to the flat one, so I felt like it matched the other windows a little bit better. I just love that the way this little garden area turned out. Later, you'll see me add a sign to it. I jump around even worse when I'm decorating with debug because I'll just scroll, and when I see something I want to use, I go over to where I want to use it. Like there, I was in the office, but I saw a watering can, and so I know I want to put that over here in this little gardening area. And then what's funny is I don't even think I have a plunger in my actual house, but I always use that object in all of my builds. I don't know, I just like the realism. But I also use that little pink flamingo in all of my builds too. I just like the way that one looks. And then here, I'm pretty proud of this part. I've got a little triangle of pool, and I put the swarm of dragonflies and fireflies inside of there. And I'm just kind of hiding these in my garden areas so that when you're in live mode, there'll be a swarm of dragonflies and of fireflies. And you'll see that in the clip when we're done. But I like the way that looked. I thought it added a really nice feature to it without needing a pond. There I am just testing it to make sure it worked. And then there's a couple more clips here of me adding some clutter, and then we've got the final product. Thank you so much for watching the video. I encourage you to visit my gallery